Now, before we discuss what happens next, first let's tell you how this attack took shape. What happened behind the scenes? What were Iran's calculations? Who did they speak to? And what kind of support did they have? Now, this enmity is a very old story, but the latest episode began exactly 2 weeks ago when the Israelis struck the Iranian consulate in Damascus. Iran immediately vowed to take revenge.
This failure of the Israeli regime in Gaza will definitely continue, as well as these desperate efforts like what they did in Syria. Of course, they will be slapped for this action.
Now, the question was, what would be the scale of the attack? Or in the Ayatollah's words, how hard would the slap be? Iran had a lot to consider. The last thing they can afford right now is a direct war with Israel. At the same time, they couldn't have done nothing. And we'll tell you why in a bit. So on camera, Iranian officials started talking tough, and behind the scenes, they began gaming the scenarios. And their assessment was this: Netanyahu was trying to pull them into a wider regional conflict. So they reached out to other regional players, like Oman. Iran contacted Oman and asked them to deliver some messages to the US. And this is not a first. Oman has often acted as a go-between for the Iranians and the Americans. So last Sunday, the Iranian foreign minister traveled to Oman, and he apparently delivered 2 clear messages. Number one, Iran will respond to Israel's attack in a quote-unquote controlled and non-escalatory way. And number 2, Iran will deploy its proxies for the mission. And that's exactly what they did. The missiles and drones were launched from at least 4 different countries, like we told you: Iran, Iraq, Syria, and Yemen. So in a way, the US had prior warning from Iran, and this communication was supposed to be a secret. But the story got out. The White House faced questions. It was asked if the Iranians had made contact, and Biden's press secretary did not deny it.
Has Iran been in touch via intermediaries with Washington to indicate that when it responds to Israel's attack on its embassy, on its Syrian embassy, that it will not escalate?
We've been also very clear. I'm not going to get into public back and forth. We warn Iran not to use this attack as a pretext to escalate further in the region or attack U.S. facilities or personnel. I'm going to be super mindful not to speak beyond that from here or elaborate further.
So neither confirmation nor denial. When you connect the dots, this is what you get. The inputs from Tehran could be shaping Washington's response. Yesterday, just hours before the Iranian strikes, Joe Biden spoke with Benjamin Netanyahu. The US president promised to help Israel defend itself. But if Israel chooses to retaliate, the Americans won't support that operation. That's what Biden is said to have told Netanyahu. So while he's calling the support to Israel ironclad, he also wants to make it conditional. Washington also expects Israeli officials to inform them before launching any operation. Again, the question is, will Netanyahu pay heed to this, or will he launch a counterattack?
Iran has launched a direct attack from Iranian soil towards the state of Israel.